Pause this video right now. Go and read Operation Biting by...
Max Hastings. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library.
That was right though, wasn't it?
No. Categorically not.
All right.
But,
so, what did you think of the book?
I liked it. I would have liked it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to like it, but I did like it. And I did think it was interesting. And I did... Look, it's World War II, and I'm about to tell you my points, what I think about specifically like World War II novels, World War II movies as well. But I thought it was decent. I would have given it a 6 out of 10. Decent.
I hated it. I'd give it a 1 out of 10. I'd give it a 2 out of 10. I really, really didn't like it. And I expected to really, really like it. It's warfare.
You thought it was going to be Fury, but a book, that's why.
Literally, I wanted... Well, I will get into exactly what I wanted. But you want to be... You want to see action. And to me, there wasn't nearly enough. And if you are going to read this book, if you really want to appreciate the book, go and do some research first. Go figure out something, because
familiarize yourself with World
War II. Familiarize yourself, not even with, I would say, the mission in and of itself. Go read a Wikipedia document, and you can't go into this book blind because you will not enjoy it. Well, I don't.
I
think
pretty much did go blind. I did go blind. Maybe I'm retracting that. Maybe I'm a special one.
Yeah, no, I think if you go in, no, but you did know about it. Remember,
I didn't know it was called Operation Biting. I heard of some. Yeah. Look, it didn't go in blind. Totally. Blind.
Yeah, I went in blind and raw. I went in naked.
Yeah, you went in raw.
So if you get some background information, then you will enjoy it a bit more. But I didn't really like the book at all.
I thought it was pretty good. But anyways, let's get into the first point. I was expecting a Saving Private Ryan style novel chronicling a behind enemy lines assignment from World War II. But if chapter 1 is any indication, this is much more like a documentary in book format. Lots of names, lots of dates. It's interesting stuff, of course. It's World War II. How could it not be? This is really why I think that writing books about World War II, or movies about World War II, or wars in general, but World War II especially, is cheating. Because it's like, a lot of this is the deadliest armed conflict in human history. We're talking 60 million deaths. 60 million deaths. There was wars that raged for 100 years between England and France that did not have them. There was crusades that went on for centuries and generations that killed 1 million people.
I think it was 60 million civilians,
Was it 60 million civilians?
I think the death toll was more than that.
It might have been more than that, I remember 60. I thought it was 60 million, like armed, 60 million combatants. 60 million combatants, and that's not civilians. 60 million armed combatants at least, and like this is over 5 years. 5 years, 60 million deaths. And it's like, if you write a book about this or make a movie about this and you don't knock it out of the park, this is a literary equivalent of a tapping.
Knock it out of the park.
This is a literary equivalent of a tapping for me. If you don't knock this out of the park, give up. You're shit. Like, literally give up.
And I expected this to read like an action novel.
Yeah,
that's
I thought it was
problem.
It's called Operation Biting.
Yeah,
so
I expected it to be fire. But
from the off.
Off
rip.
There was a part in the beginning where the guy said, I don't know who it was, I don't know if it's the writer or I don't know who it was, but he said, he's skeptical about the word hero. It's daily prostitution on the news because everyone's called heroes, Man helps lady cross the road, a local hero.
Yeah,
and he didn't like that word, but I thought that was funny.
That's interesting.
In World War II, an interesting difference between US paratroopers and the British paratroopers is that US paratroopers would carry a reserve parachute. The British soldiers did not because they had big balls.
Literally.
Not really, but it was actually because the UK War Office considered the cost of £60 for a reserve chute a waste of money. How do you feel about that?
That's peak. Well, I'm not a paratrooper, but if I were a paratrooper, I'd be like, you can't.
Apparently, the British soldiers preferred to use the extra space and wait for extra ammunition. I don't know how I feel about that, because isn't that a waste of money too, if your chute don't open?
Yeah, 100%.
What would you take? Would you take the reserve chute, or would you take in the extra ammunition?
Don't be silly.
No, because think about it. The chutes, what they say, a parachute doesn't open 1 in 1,000. 1 in, the chances of it not open.
That's what I'm saying. I'm taking the ammunition.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm taking the ammunition.
Until you're that one.
Until you're that one. But the funny thing is, if you're that one, or if you're not that one, no, if you were that one and you had a reserve chute and then you just landed in Nazi-occupied France, you have no ammunition. It's just like
not ammunition. They extra.
But how much extra are we talking?
I don't want to run. I mean, how much is a shoot? If you look at a backpack...
One is one. One bullet is one bullet anyway, isn't it? One is one.
No, but if you look at a backpack, the reserve shoot's got to be part of that backpack. So I'd assume maybe, I don't know, 5-6 magazines. That's significant. Could be the
magazines. Are you on your ones? This is getting too specific anyway. Boy, I might change my mind actually. I'm thinking 5-6 magazines, but they're like, boy, you got 5-6 magazines, you're up there, no shoot.
As you're coming down, you're gonna be as you're coming down.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not letting nobody scavenger pro my shit, you know. Not fighting with no bullets, Obi.
I'm not going in with no guns. I'm just going in with knives.
Just knives, you know. Going in knuckle dusters.
Use me blade.
Knuckle dusters. The British thought the Nazis were stupid. I don't know enough about the war to ascertain whether these accusations have real merit, but according to Hastings, when the Allies deployed radar, which stands for radio detection and ranging, nobody from the British Army senior officers to the Secret Service thought the Germans were smart enough to make the leap for themselves. This is despite finding a German battleship with a radar aerial on it in 1939, and despite MI6 anonymously receiving a packet of documents outlining various radar-based German weapons at Hitler's disposal. Basically, MI6 received a packet of documents that they called the Oslo Report, and it basically was from a German scientist, or an anonymous German scientist, who basically said, I'm working for the Nazis, but I'm trying to defect. Here's information on all Hitler's radar-based weapons. He's got this. He could send rockets like this, and they basically, it's a plant. Ignore it.
Yeah.
Throw it in the bin. They said there's anybody who anybody who would know enough about these weapons is not going to help us, and anybody who would help us doesn't know anything about these weapons.
No, but do you understand where they were coming from?
Yeah, of course.
Because why would a German scientist...
Of course. They're literally just like, it's a plant. Keep doing what you're doing. We're winning.
As I said,
they literally said we're winning.
It's like what we said in the last video. When you can't believe your eyes, you've been had. The Germans 100%. Had us to the point where we couldn't even believe our own
100%. So they literally said, throw it in the bin. And the funniest thing is, we look at that and be like, how could they do that? They're like, we're the Secret Service. We do this. Like,
yeah. What do you
think
know?
This is the first? You think this is the first anonymous tip we've got? Ask the police how many anonymous tips they get a year. This is MI6. They got to throw some stuff in the bin, man. But I thought that was really interesting. But it makes you wonder, how many lives did British oversight cost? The Nazi Party was strong enough to conquer large swathes of Europe. They had advantages in aircraft and weapons and soldiers and numbers. They even produced the most expensive and deadliest tanks during the war, and the British thought they didn't have radar. It's like they thought you wouldn't have, of all the things they might not have, you wouldn't have radar. Like the most important thing, like the first kill streak you need on Call of Duty is radar. Like UAV, you know? I just thought it was incredible oversight. It's how did we win?
I'm confused. I thought we would have been dropped in the middle of an operation, but that's not the case. First, we spoke about the importance of radar, which, you know, needs no explanation. Then we're learning about the backstory of people. We don't care. Give us the fucking shootouts. You know, the pinned down by sustained gunfire behind enemy lines. You know, the real life super soldier that can catch a grenade and throw it back. You know, the soldier that gets heavily injured and says, I'm not going to make it. Leave me behind. And I'll take out as many bastards as I can.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's what you want.
The man said, a shootout is a shootout.
If I don't get any of this, I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed. But yeah, this is the thing. It's funny, with romance novels, we get the stereotypical one, we're like, oh.
Yeah,
with these actions,
we're like, yeah.
We want the super soldier.
I want it as many times as possible. Like, as many times as possible.
Not to mention the
I want to see that guy that goes into battle with a vest on. Like, no armor, just a thing tied on his head.
Yeah.
Just bandanas on. Just for no reason, chewing tobacco.
That's what I want all of that. I mean? That's what you want. Cigars,
100%. I want all of that.
I want to see someone cock their gun against the table.
Yeah. 100%.
I want to see them.
100%.
That's what you want.
Facts. That's what you want. So I want to see the guy with the gun that Arnold Schwarzenegger had in
you know
Predator.
what I mean? That's what you
rocket
want.
launch.
That's
all of that.
what you want, man.
100%.
RPG. I want someone.
Yeah. Oh
RPG
my goodness!
coming from
Listen, come on. Even when we were talking about in Fury, when they're hitting the tanks and things like that, like come on, like cinema. It's absolute cinema.
You want to see a tank roll over a car?
These are
the things you want.
These are things we want to see. Dramatic license of reason. This is where the Benjamins are made. Not on a realism, on this. Radar is the best invention since Isaac Newton invented gravity. It's certainly one of the most influential, if not the outright most, developments in modern warfare. Essentially, the way radar works is that a transmitter sends out a stream of radio waves or brief pulses of radio waves. The radio waves hit a target and reflect back into the device's receiver. By assessing how long it takes for the waves to strike the target and reflect, we can judge the distance and velocity of the target. I'm sure there will be some scientists with Google PhDs in the comments on YouTube butchering my my abbreviated version of
all the time. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but any of you lot, fucking fight me. Pull up, fight me. Anyway, as early as 1936, the Germans were using their Freya array to detect aircraft up to 75 miles away. The top speed of a Spitfire, for example, is around 315 miles an hour. So this wouldn't even give you that much of a warning. But what you did get would likely be invaluable. If you can only respond to air raids as they're happening, you will get cream crackered. There is literally no way. And in fact, they even said, this guy said in the book, he said Freya is from Norse mythology, and she has something to do with, I forgot what it was, but it's something that relates to radios and finding stuff and detection. And there was it's a British policy that it said we never use code names that is even loosely related to what it is, because what would be the point? And it was just weird that the Germans decided, we're gonna basically name it, make it so easy to figure out. They didn't, to be fair. It was only one guy from the British, the Reg Jones, the guy who was the first chapter was about, that thought it was about that. But, 75 miles away seems like a lot, but when things moving at 350 miles an hour, that's nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally nothing. You're getting bombed now.
So, about halfway through the book, the story actually starts with a flight lieutenant being summoned into an office. The officer said, "So, the Royal Air Force needs a man with a particular skill set. You are the perfect man for the job. You are the only one that can do it, and your role has a decent survival rate. And if you're half the man that I think you are, you'll jump at it." So the officer says, what am I getting myself in for? The other officer says, "I'm not at liberty to tell you unless you accept."
So
and I thought,
Inglourious Bastards, basically.
I'm not gonna lie, if that was me, I'd be like, boy, Euros is on, I can't, What? Man said decent survival rate. Decent survival rate. Can you imagine that being sprung on you like that? You probably had plans next week. You know what I mean?
No.
Man said, if you're half the man, and I think you are, you jump at it.
Man said, I got a pie in the oven, so, you know what I mean?
Man,
that's crazy.
Decent survival.
Didn't even tell him what it was as well.
I can't tell you till you accept.
Say yes first.
If you accept and then change your mind, they'll put you in prison.
What do you mean change your mind?
They'll put you in prison until...
They'll send you. They'll send you. Forget prison, they'll send you.
They just throw you off the plane.
They say, you want to come back? Accomplish the mission.
He says, we're about to throw you off the plane. Do you want the suit or not?
Yeah.
Do you want the parachute? Yeah, so here's the gun. Do you want the gun or not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you're going to have to go. You're going to have
100%.
to... Your best chance of survival
There's one way out. Come back with that thing that we need, or don't come back. It is what it is. Gosh. But look, you have to remember, back in those times, it was an honour to serve one's country. And, it was all about fighting, getting Adolf, getting the Germans, and things like that. We've seen all the propaganda. We've seen how they, use the media to try and make people feel the patriotism of what it meant to fight for Britain.
Your country needs you.
Your country needs you.
The Conservatives are using that.
Yeah, of course.
Have you seen it? There's flyers around and it says...
What, like Rishi Sunak? Saying,
well, it's literally... Well, they've actually flipped it on Keir Starmer and they put Keir Starmer's face pointing and it says, "I need you to give me a blank check."
Yeah, okay.
So it's propaganda. It's terrible. Propaganda. It feels like it's illegal.
But the funny thing is, this one seems like the one that Labour is meant to win. This one seems like the one that they're going to win because... Conservatives are never really worried about Labour like that, but they seem more worried about Labour this time than the other time.
Conservatives cannot win. They can't win. Labour's definitely got this in the bag.
But the funny thing is, Conservatives always vote Conservative, and Labour's split, so that's why they always win. Conservatives, that's why, because they're united. Even the Conservatives that hate the Prime Minister, hate Boris, hate Rishi, whatever, they're like, but we definitely don't want to see Labour in. And Labour is just split. This is the Corbyns or non-Corbyns or whatever. But we get off topic. Britain was getting slapped up for most of the war. When I say Britain, what I should say is the Allies. The Nazis were fighting a war on multiple fronts and they still were showing everybody levels. So they had to fight multiple countries and they was winning they was beating everybody. Their super advanced range of Tiger tanks, for example, terrorized Britain and the Soviet Union for years. It was said in the first few years of the war, more Tiger tanks were decommissioned due to mechanical failure than combat. That's mad. They literally said, we ain't losing. We're losing them by accident.
They're using them so much.
They're using them so much.
That they just warned them out.
They've warned them out. Literally, you haven't taken your kill count 0. Literally. Your body count is celibate. That's what they said. Otto Carius was a German tank commander in the war who said, we had never seen anything like the Tigers before. Most tanks needed to be a few hundred meters from their target to be lethal. The Tiger tanks were killing other tanks from up to 2,000 meters away. So literally, the Allied tanks, our tanks, we need to be within like 700, 800 meters. The Tiger tanks popping fools from 2,000. You can't even see them.
You can't even see
You
them.
can't even see them. And here's and it's done. You can't even see them, so it's different. After Nazi Germany invaded Poland in 1939, Britain and France declared war on Hitler. A year later, Germany had occupied Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. And France wouldn't be liberated until the Normandy landings on D-Day in 1944, which is 4 years later. In the taking of France, Hitler made more than 300,000 Allied troops run out of Dunkirk and across the Channel. After the Dunkirk fiasco, Winston Churchill wrote a memo to his Chief of Staff, Major General Ismay, asking why the Allies were constantly reacting to Nazi assaults and asking when they planned to go on the offensive. That's basically what he said to his Chief of Staff. Basically, this is Britain, France, and the Soviet Union against one Germany, and they had us playing defense for most of the war. Even Winston Churchill was like, are we going to attack them, or are we just going to, do you know what I mean? So it was crazy to see how, like, I didn't even know how we won, to be fair. I dreaded how the Allies won.
It was Russia that did all the legwork.
Did
most of the legwork, apparently. We get all the fame for D-Day, but...
we get all the fame for the war. And mainly, funny part is, what I learned is because of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the only Allied leader to come out of the war looking good. Everybody else looked bad. Roosevelt he died before the war ended.
Look at Stalin.
Stalin. Oh my God.
You know what he's done? He's been vilified.
Jesus Christ. Stalin's been vilified. Stalin's Vader.
Evil.
Yeah, he's Vader. There's him. Then there's Roosevelt, who started the war and died before it was over. Then there was
the one who nuked,
Harry Truman. Harry Truman, who nuked. He ain't coming back from that. He nuked everybody. And then there was like, who else was there? There was like the guy from France. You got patterned up within like how long? Like no one even. So Churchill was the only Allied leader that came out of the war.
And you know why? It's because we write the history.
The history is written
because we done Churchill. And we know how much madness he's done.
Craziness. And he's a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero.
Remember what he said about the word hero?
Yeah. So, the British paratroopers are flying over Nazi-occupied France. As they reach their intended drop zone, the plane slows down to a mere 90 miles an hour. It can only slow down to this incredibly slow pace by opening up the bay doors at the back. This increases drag and slows the plane right down to the edge of stalling. So the whole plane is shaking, right? Yeah. An officer in command is looking out the window and attempting to locate the drop zone by eye. You know,
Jesus Christ. You can't do that.
He's like, fuck it, go. The procedure is to then, for him to shout, go, 10 times in rapid succession. Go, 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 go,
Insane.
go. And I think that's a bit excessive. But what do I know? Eh? but you do see in films, people shouting, go, go. So at least we know now there's a reason, there's a procedure to shout.
100%. There's a lot of these things have procedures, to be fair. So, for example, when you're abandoning a plane, the command is jump, jump, or jump, jump, jump. So
that's when you put your head between your legs, kiss your mum goodbye. I heard that one as well. That's definitely
that's definitely well in the British it might be. The British Army it might be. Winston Churchill is worse than Hitler. I don't care. I don't know if there has ever been a greater cognitive dissonance between who Churchill is seen as by history and who Churchill actually was. He is undeniably a British hero, and yet his comments, his philosophies, his ideals, and his crimes are that of a Hitler, a Stalin, or a Darth Vader. On this channel, we've already talked about how he massacred millions of Indians and starved them to death in streets like animals. I say to line the Empire's pockets, but a lot of the deaths were literally just because he wanted to. He condemned Indians as a beastly people with a beastly religion, his own words, but it gets worse. Churchill was a huge advocate for the use of mustard gas and other lethal gases in the theatre of warfare, which was against the Geneva Protocol of 1925. He wanted to have large stocks of it on hand, preferring to violate the rules of engagement before Hitler had a chance to. In another memorandum to General Ismay in 1944, he said, "It may be a few weeks before I ask you to drench Germany in mustard gas, but if we do it, we will do it 100%. So he's not just speaking about using gas as a deterrent or in retaliation, which is how most gas has been used in the world wars. He used to talk about bombing German citizens with gas just because. Like when he was Minister for War, he literally said, "Why do we not have gas? Why is it not here?"
And this is the thing. It's easy for us to vilify him, and maybe he should be. But the public were like,
of course. Churchill.
So
I look at Churchill how I think a lot of Americans see Trump in the same way that he's their guy. Do you know what I mean? Trump is like their guy.
But
over
then
there.
you've got Hitler saying things, and then the Germans are going,
Hitler was their guy.
Yeah,
Do you see what I'm saying? So the funny thing is, if let's say you're a German citizen, you might have fought in World War One, you might have not, but you know what Germany went through in World War One. You know your economy's broken. You know you're having to pay back reparations to all these countries, pay reparations. You know Germany's basically being emasculated. Germany's looked at as like a cuck because you're paying everybody for the war that you started, essentially. Bearing in mind, Germany didn't start that war on their own. There was one of Axis powers. They were the only ones paying reparations at the end of the thing. So they're literally like, bro, we've been shafted here. At the end of the day, Germany's literally, her whole economy's been decimated. Hitler comes through and starts talking about all the things he's going to do to bring Germany back to the top. You're telling me you're a German citizen, you're not going to vote for this guy?
Yeah, of course.
Now, come on, man. Come on. He literally said, we're going to run all these guys out of our country. We're going to take our money back. We're going to bring back... Yeah, it's ridiculous. But Churchill... Fast forward 50 years, this guy's a lovable cigar guy selling car insurance, and no one talks about how this guy went to bomb German citizens with chemical weapons and things like that, starve Indians by the millions.
Of Indians.
By the millions. Talk about how he built roads in India so that he could more easily bring stuff out of their country. Ridiculous. His PR's mental.
I've got one more.
Alright, I've got 3 more. Let me do another one in. I'm beginning to understand what it is we're reading. This book is a chapter-by-chapter expose on all the officers and key personnel involved in Operation Biting, rather than a chronicled adaptation of a real-world event. I would have much preferred that, by the way. I'm only a few chapters in, and this author has already blundered, but I have every confidence that he can pull it back from the brink and deliver a good ending to match the interesting content we've had so far. So, there was 6 or 7 chapters that... It grew on me, to be fair, but there was 6 or 7 chapters that was just, he was introducing characters and talking about their backstories and talking about how they got brought up. So Admiral Lord Louis Mountbatten, he was talking about Frederick Browning, Major General Frederick Browning. These are the characters that were involved in Operation Brighton.
Characters.
People, sorry, not characters.
But this is the thing. Would it not have made much more sense to have that afterwards once we already invested?
To just drop us into the thing.
Drop us into it.
Which is what I was expecting. I was Henderson's Boys. I thought it was going to be like Henderson's Boys.
We want to be behind enemy lines. But you know what? This book has whet my appetite for some behind enemy lines France.
It made me want to write something, to be fair.
It brought me back to the Alice Network, being in France.
Yeah.
But I want to do, as I said, Operation Paperclip. But even if we do something before that, some World War II inspired.
Oh, that would be great.
Something that's got factual. Something that that's what I want to do.
100%. No, go again, and I'll have one more as well. Until Churchill was in office, Britain did not employ paratroopers, special regiments of soldiers. Paratroopers are special regiments of soldiers equipped with parachutes to drop down into enemy territory and perform a variety of saboteur roles. In fact, in the First World War, they didn't even give pilots parachutes. Senior officers seem to think that if parachutes were standard issue, it might encourage pilots to eject prematurely. I love ejecting prematurely.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get that. I didn't even notice that,
Basically, they said, we're not going to give you one because you might use it. That's basically what they were saying. Well, which for me is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Listen,
it makes sense.
It's real motivation.
It's real motivation. Yeah, exactly. Because it's just the only way you're coming back.
Because if something goes wrong, you go, fuck it.
Yeah, I can.
Was that a bit too?
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I don't think they're literally like.
You can't be bothered to land the plane.
That's just ejects. But the funniest thing is, Spitfires didn't even cost that much. Spitfires costed around £20,000 to produce. Now with inflation, yeah, exactly. So with inflation, that's about $1 million in today's money.
That's nothing. So you know what planes cost now?
I said
600 mil.
Hello. For comparison, the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning fighter used by the RAF and the USAF cost around $100 million to produce. Yeah. 100 million each. So if you're like that, come up to land. That's 100 mil.
I don't even know if there's a next gen. They got next gen planes out here that fly supersonic speed.
Invisible, that Tony Stark shit.
They got the real bad.
real bad boy
things.
It's disgraceful shillings that they got here. 100 million for one F-35. So that you get popped or that wing comes off.
I wouldn't give them man a parachute.
Oh my God.
That's better bring it.
It makes more sense to not give them a parachute.
Better bring that back.
100%. What? I'll give him a Tesco bag. You just do this. Just jump out and do this, bro.
Why didn't you go and inject that? How do you go to your boss and say,
what? I lost another F-35 to them. Another one. Even one, to be fair. Forget another one. Even one. Nah. I'm going down with it.
So anyway, they steal the radar device with not much struggle. And they battle their way back to the beach, which is their rendezvous point. Their plan was to leave France via the sea. There was supposed to be some form of speedboat waiting for them. Anyway, they pull up and there's no boat. So the soldiers are like, oh, for fuck's sake. Right? They jump over in the sand like they've just finished playing sports. Like the job's done, you know. One of them light up a cigarette and think it's time to relax. The commander officer said, because these aren't battle-ready soldiers, they're paratroopers, but they're not battle. They're qualified to jump, but they're not battle-ready soldiers. They think the job's over because they secured the radar. He screamed at them to get into defense positions. Unfortunately, with their backs to the water, with no chance of retreat, they are going to have to hold the beach. The Germans are coming, and. It wasn't really that exciting. The book wasn't. It just wasn't that exciting. I built it up. I really built it up, but the book wasn't that exciting. You know, we had a bit of gunfire. You know, some of the soldiers. I think someone died. A couple people got shot.
But let's say there's like a regiment of 200 people. If like 5 or 6 people die, you're like, this is a very good day for us.
Yeah, and they didn't really. You know what they didn't explain? They didn't explain how much this mission meant. So you got Churchill saying, "Yeah, this is the most successful assault in the history of any great war. It's the first time, whatever, right?" But they didn't say, "Oh, we got the plans for the Death Star." They didn't. Yeah, they damaged. No, but they did not. That radar, they didn't explain how that helps them to gain disadvantage over this, that, and the other. So it seemed like a pointless mission. They went and destroyed something.
There was some things. I did some research about the actual Operation Biting, and there were some things they left out, some details that they adjusted, and I was literally just like, this could have been done better. For example, the British did not even send real paratroopers to Operation Biting. They didn't send real ones. There was a German installation at Bruneville in Upper Normandy that in France, that RAF reconnaissance had discovered housed a Wurzburg radar system, the use of which the British had connected with assaults on their bombers. Admiral Lord Louis Mountbatten, the chief of combined operations, decided that a commando raid from the sea would incur heavy losses. More crucially, the Germans would have enough time to destroy the radar system if they had to, and it was key that the British recover the technology intact. Instead, they planned an air raid. He contacted Major General Frederick Browning of the 1st Airborne Division and asked him to supply a company of paratroops. Browning had only 2 paratrooper battalions under his command, the first of which were the only sufficiently trained. Rather than risk his larger and more effective paratroop battalion, Browning sent in the 2nd, many of whom had not even completed their parachute jump course. Literally. So the people who got sent into Operation Biting, some of them, it was jumping out of a plane for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, who needs a call? You just jump out.
You just jump in it.
Jump out and pull a
They
cord.
sent parachuters who hadn't even known how to parachute jump to rob a Nazi installation in Nazi-occupied France. Bearing in mind, Germany had very successfully run the Allies out of France once already at Dunkirk. Bearing in mind, the funny thing about all this is that the mission was actually a resounding categorical success. Like, they faced 0, complications. They literally said, yeah, it was easy. It was genuinely easy. Not only did they capture sensitive enemy technology, in the real thing, they actually captured a German radar technician as well. And they brought his ass back as well. And it was literally just like, well, this is too easy. This is too easy. So I personally, if I have one criticism about the book, I'd probably say is that we really want to see the danger of actually having to be a paratrooper going behind enemy lines and what can actually happen if that hooks up. Because, like, you get tortured. Forget shot, you can get tortured.
I don't have a problem with bending non-fiction into fiction to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
If it's based on a true story and whatnot, and you're adding in a couple of extra gunfires, a stealth mission and whatnot, make it more interesting. But this wasn't it. This wasn't it. So here's what it is. I learned something, but I'd still give it a 1 star. 1. So
1 star is actually harsh. 1 star is harsh. I would probably say out of 5.
I was talking about 100.
Out of 5, I would probably say 3. I'd say 3. I think 3 is very, very fair. There was a lot of interesting information that I found interesting.
There's a lot of drivel as well. That could have been.
Well, define drivel.
You. Yeah, you didn't see that one coming, did you? But yeah, no, there was still. We didn't. I don't. It's alright to have the backstory of the characters if you want, but it needs to be put in a place where we're going to care about it. I think you got to realize if you expected to be dropped into the middle of conflict, and I expected to be dropped into the middle of conflict, then give us that. You know, give your book to a focus group, and if we all expect to be dropped into the middle of battle, then give us that.
To be fair, he probably gave it to a bunch of World War II enthusiasts. Probably.
And they were like, and they probably knew about it. Yeah,
they were like,
that's what I said. Maybe that's
fantastic.
Maybe that's what it's for.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, and next week we've got a real treat for you. More books. Bet you didn't see that coming.
Literally. All right.
But yeah, till next time.
Till next time.